Man, we've got a litany of terrible diseases. Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, you go down the list, stroke and so forth, and we've got a doctor that says, I've got the answer to all of them. You don't want to miss that. And also, this woman who apparently has a terrible time with the truth. She just doesn't like the truth. She's been unmasked. Republicans want President Obama's National Security Advisor, Susan Rice, to testify, not just testify, but to do so under oath with the fear of perjury over questions that she may have used government surveillance for political purposes and, quote, unmasked the names of Trump officials by leaking them to the media. Do you think she did it? I think there's another one named Farkas who was clearly, they said, we just can't wait for him to be impeached. And she's a high-level official in the Defense Department. You just can't believe what's going on. Terry.
Well, the latest Washington controversy comes as Congress is still working on repealing and replacing Obamacare, and the Senate is getting ready to vote on Neil Gorsuch for the Supreme Court. Dale Hurd has the story.
Former National Security Advisor Susan Rice claims there was nothing illegal and no smoking gun, despite reports that she sought to learn the identities of Trump campaign officials swept up in legal surveillance of foreign targets. And she says she never gave out any of the information she learned to the media.
I leaked nothing to nobody, and never have and never would. There was no such collection surveillance on Trump Tower or Trump individuals. And it's very important to understand, by that I mean directed by the White House or targeted at Trump individuals.
The White House is not supposed to investigate people. That's done by agencies like the FBI. And Rice's denial was not enough for Republicans. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul tweeted, "Smoking gun found."
So now we know that someone in the Obama administration was eavesdropping and specifically searching a data bank looking for the Trump people.
Where did you get
That's a big deal.
Texas Senator John Cornyn tweeted Tuesday that Rice needs to testify under oath. The controversy around Rice comes as House Republicans and the White House are still at work to try to come up with an agreement on a bill to repeal and replace Obamacare. Vice President Mike Pence and House Republicans emerged from a 2-hour meeting last night just before midnight.
It's good talk, making progress.
It was a very productive meeting. We're making progress.
The White House is offering a revised plan, more to Republicans' liking. All of this is taking place amid the Senate standoff and looming showdown on Supreme Court nominee Judge Neil Gorsuch. Because Democrats have enough votes in the GOP-controlled chamber to filibuster President Trump's high court nominee, which they did last night, Republicans are expected to change the Senate rules and use the so-called nuclear option to get Gorsuch confirmed, changing voting procedures to override the filibuster and confirm Gorsuch with 51 votes instead of 60. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has promised to have Gorsuch confirmed by Friday. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Well, with us now from Capitol Hill is Senator Rand Paul. And Senator, I tell you, it's supposed to be Easter. People are supposed to take a break. It's crazy in Washington. How are you handling it?
Very good, very good. Thanks for having me. And you're right. Between negotiating on Obamacare and trying to make it something that will help really the public, and then the latest news of Susan Rice, you know, we're right in the middle of all of it.
Look, you played golf with the president. Did you guys come to some kind of an accord that you can get this bill through on health care?
Well, I think sometimes it's good to be in a social situation where we did talk about the issues, but just getting to know each other a little bit and also exchanging ideas back and forth. I think he wants the same thing I want, and that is repeal of Obamacare. What the conservatives, the House Freedom Caucus and the Senate conservatives want is we want it to work. We actually want lower insurance premiums for the consumer and more freedom for Americans to choose their insurance. We don't think the original bill was doing that, but we think we're getting closer and closer to a bill that maybe all Republicans can support.
What are the key issues? Could you point out 2 or 3 sticking points? It sounds like you guys are very close to a deal. Of course, you're a senator, but you seem to be the leader of that group in the House. What are the sticking points?
I think the key thing is that under Obamacare, we have a death spiral, which means that when you go to buy insurance every year, there are fewer and fewer insurance companies, and the cost goes up and up and up. In some markets, like 50% of the country, there's only one insurance company, and the rates are going up between 25% a year. In some states, 60 and 70% a year. That's the death spiral of Obamacare. We want to make sure when we get rid of it, when we repeal it, that we get rid of that death spiral so consumers can get cheaper prices. A big chunk of the death spiral are these insurance regulations, these mandates that say that you have to buy a certain kind of insurance. We want people to be free to buy any insurance, including inexpensive insurance. Under Obamacare, it's illegal to buy inexpensive insurance. We want to legalize inexpensive insurance.
May I ask why that very intelligent provision wasn't included in that first vote that the House took? I don't understand why it wasn't in the bill.
You know, it's kind of unusual to us, too. We voted 60 times to repeal Obamacare, and then instead of putting forward what we voted on 60 times, they put forward something else, which was sort of Obamacare light. They said, oh, we're just going to repeal part of it, and then we're going to replace it with a Republican subsidy plan. And most of us think that this would be better handled at the states and by individuals, and that, you know, the Constitution doesn't have much, or doesn't really say anything about the federal government being involved in health care. And most time the federal government gets involved with something, they mess it up. They create monopolies, they allow prices to go up, they become crony capitalists and let the insurance companies make too much money. We want more competition, but I also want the consumer to be king. That's why I'm big on these buying plans. You know, there are Christian organizations where people join together, I think it's MediShare, join together and they get cheaper prices. I want everybody in America to have access to something like that.
Well, you know, this deal, of course, comes out of the House, goes to the Senate. There's sort of a reconciliation concept up there, but this would take a different kind of vote. You're back again to the 60 vote rule, aren't you, if you change the bill too much?
Yeah, and my friend Senator Lee is a real expert on this, a great attorney, and really knows the law inside out. He's convinced, and others are, that when you bring it before, that actually many of these things could be under the budget rules and could be included. The rules say basically it has to have a monetary effect. So if I let you join a buying group like a co-op, you wouldn't be eligible for government subsidies then because you'd be in a private alternative. That would save the government money. So I think allowing buying groups could be included, but it all gets down to somebody's arbitrary decision on judging, can it be included or not? I can't tell you the final answer, but I think a big part of making the consumer, the patient, in charge of their health care and getting better prices is letting them join big groups so they can have leverage to get cheaper prices.
Switching topics, Susan Rice apparently has a real hard time with the truth. She's the one, you remember, went on every talk show talking about Benghazi. It was the result of a video which was just absurdly, patently absurd, and known, by the way, to the State Department that this was not true, that it was indeed a coordinated terrorist attack. How are we handling her? Are you going to bring her before the Congress? I mean, to testify under oath? Can she be forced to do that?
Well, I've been warning for years that our intelligence agencies are gathering the phone calls and the information on millions of Americans. They target foreigners, and we have a lower standard. You don't have to get a warrant. We get foreigners' information. Like last year, we collected all of the phone calls in Italy in 1 month. We collected all the phone calls in Germany. We collected Merkel's phone calls. But then we're collecting all of the information of the Americans they talk to. If a congressman or a senator talks to a foreign person or a foreign leader, that should be private. And we shouldn't let the executive branch listen to that. So when they say this is incidental and no big deal, it is a big deal. And I also think that it's going to come out that Susan Rice had no real reason to be doing this. The White House does not investigate any kind of crime. If there was a crime to be investigated, which I don't even believe that was true, the FBI would be doing this. But I think Susan Rice did this for political reasons. I think there's going to be more information come out. And when it comes out and we determine that maybe other people were being searched other than just the Trump administration, there's going to be really a penalty for her to pay for this. And I think she hasn't been fully honest is the best way to put it.
Senator, last question. There's 10 years prison time for violating that particular law and bringing out the name of an America that's under surveillance. Is she subject to that kind of penalty?
If you leak the information, I think there is a jail penalty. What's going to happen is it's somewhat murky because you have to get in her brain to know her motives. She's going to say everything she did was for national security. But, you know, that's in the eye of the beholder. If she was searching political figures, including the Trump administration or other political figures, if that was happening, it's going to be kind of hard for her to prove to people and to say, you know what, this was for national security purposes if any other political figures turn up that she was searching the records on. And I think without question this was politically motivated, and it was out of unhappiness. They didn't like losing the election, and their way to get back was to use the enormous power of the intelligence agencies to sift through that to try to find information to damage the Trump administration. That should be illegal. I think it is illegal. Whether or not it deserves jail time, I think we'll find out.
Senator, thanks for being with us. You're a terrific American.
Thanks.
Keep it up.
Thanks,
We're
Pat.
proud of what you're doing.
Thank you.
Terry, it's amazing, isn't it?
Well, you know, with regard to Susan Rice, you also wonder, I mean, she wouldn't have just done that independently on her own. So she was given a directive from someone. And so does she take the fall for that one, or?
She's got a doctorate from someplace or other. She's been in government forever.
Smart enough to know better.
Forever. Of course she knows better. And she lies through her teeth. Yeah. The woman is a congenital liar. And she's gone on television. Maybe they put her out as the fall guy for all these things, but she sure took it if in Benghazi. Then for Bo Bergdahl, a great American hero and all that, but only when the guy is up for desertion. I mean, it's incredible what she said. And now she said it again. Now, is this something, is she pathological? If she is, she sure shouldn't be national security advisor to any president. But it may be she ought to be wearing a striped suit in some correctional facility. We'll see later.